you heard in last week's market analysis segment with Jim Robb, cow-calf producers are looking to see unprecedented returns this year. July's USDA cattle report showed the lowest inventory of cattle and calves on that date since the series began in 1973. That report also showed the agency's expectation of a 2014 calf crop down 1% from 2013 and 2% from 2012. While feeders are benefiting from cheaper corn and soybean rations, the tighter supply means more expensive animals. With good margins possible for cow-calf producers, we talked last week with Berger about things to consider when marketing this year's calf crop.
We're seeing record high prices, and so we're obviously excited about the opportunity to market into this kind of situation. But I think also with it, it just kind of brings a situation where what do we do with these calves? If we have a calf crop here, we have record prices. Do we want to retain ownership on those calves? We've seen these forage prices drop. We've seen things like distillers grains come down, and we've had some good rains, especially in the sandhills, and so we have some forage available. And looking at what's the value of the gain on those calves if we're going to either sell maybe traditionally in an October time frame, or do we want to put some gain on those calves on some meadow regrowth, or maybe use some forage that we grew with some distillers, and thinking about what the value of that gain is and what we could expect to get for adding that gain.
If you are going to retain ownership, what are some things to keep in mind?
I think as we think about retaining ownership, knowing your cost of production in terms of what's it going to take to put a pound of gain on a calf, what's that going to cost, and then really what's the value of that gain. As we look at these feed yard cost of gains really cheapening up, we're looking down in the low 70s now. There's going to be a lot of tremendous pressure, I think, on the value of this gain, and so knowing that the value you put on or you really get paid for, I think is going to be important. I think along with that is thinking about, if you're going to retain ownership, some risk management to go with that. Again, we have some record high prices, so how can you use some tools, whether those be options or futures, or maybe using a tool like livestock risk protection insurance to take some price protection, leave the upside open but protect the downside, and lock in a profit.
You were talking about putting on gain. How affordable is it right now? How affordable are the forages or the distillers? Certainly we know in the eastern part of the state the corn's very affordable, but what about here?
Yeah, here in western Nebraska, distillers grains prices have really cheapened up significantly. We've seen huge drops since we saw those in late May. And so really we can get distillers grains bought FOB the plant, 85 to 110 right now. So that puts us delivered, somewhere maybe that 120, 130 area. That really becomes a very nice complement to some grange forage we would have. Provides us an opportunity to add some value to these calves through some good gains.
You say if you are going to market them, it's important to have a marketing plan. Why is that so important?
Yeah, I think having a plan in place where you've really decided ahead of time what you're going to do, it's too easy to allow the emotions of the market and some fluctuations and market changes to keep you from maybe doing something you should do. So I think visiting about your marketing plan with the people who are part of your team, putting it in writing, and then putting that where people see it, and then just making a commitment that when we have an opportunity to do something that meets our plan, we're going to pull the trigger and do that.
When you look at an industry that's still trying to rebuild the cow herd, 95 million all totaled on July 1st, will there be a different value this year between heifers and those that aren't heifers?
Yeah, I really think there is, especially those heifers that have the quality to go back to the cow herd. We often see a pretty wide spread between our steers and heifer prices. I think that's going to be more narrow this year. I think if you're in a situation where you can vaccinate those heifers and maybe background them till after the first of the year, I think there's going to be real demand for those heifers to go into a breeding program. Or if you really want to put a pencil to it, see if you have extra feed about maybe retaining those heifers and developing them yourselves. Bred females are going to be good property here in the near term, and I think looking how you can capture value from that is really an important option this year.